Right now I'm using squirrel hair brush, which is a very soft brush, but it holds a lot of paint. In this case, the sun is hitting this branch so intensely that it looks like the sun is actually burning a chunk out of the branch. That's how bright the sun is here. So if you can see that in the camera, the white actually cuts into, because of shine, into the branch. Yet it's not, it's just an optical illusion. So we're going to keep that in mind and go into our puddle of white and follow the same contour where that sun is cutting into, or appears to be cutting into, the branch. Like this. And we can go ahead and blow dry that too. Radiating around from the sun is a yellow strip around that white illumination. So we're going to grab some yellow, and we're just going to simply border the brilliant white. Like this. Once the sun starts to look like it's glowing, we can go ahead and hit that with a hairdryer. But in this case, we're not going to dry it thoroughly. The reason being is because we're going to use a dry brush white. Even though it doesn't show it, we're going to put some rays out there to simulate sun rays coming off that tree. So grabbing a near pure white, which has a little bit of orange in there, we're just going to simply start here and very quickly make strokes of paint away from the sun. The quicker you do them, the more it starts wide to narrow. So to cover up the lines through here, we notice that there's still tree branches and leaves close to the sun. So we can leave these lines that swirl in here because we're going to be covering them up by yet more leaves. So I noticed that as I'm looking at this, there is lit up, illuminated by the sun leaves and branches between this branch and this branch, which is probably difficult to see on the camera. So in order to get that silhouette of the branch, I have to make this background lighter, and that's what I'm doing right now. Right now I'll be softening this hard line right here to where the silhouette of these tree lines against the back trees are still dark, as opposed to the tree limbs and leaves that show against the bright sky. So right now I'm going to take that harsh line out here and just soften it by tapping in orange and erasing the harsh lines that doesn't look like a man-made structure. Changing brushes to a finer brush. I'll be now using the same mix to make this branch over those lighter trees here. So I'm going to come back in here to the same puddle that I used to make the silhouettes and continue the branch and put that in place against the light leaves. See how that works? Just like that. So far we've established exactly where the sun is. We've shown how it's illuminated against the tree. And now we're just going to continue to show this glow on that same branch. And how we're going to do that is to go right into the fire orange. The next task I'm going to come up with is now finding the branches into the background trees and just using those as silhouettes to establish the attachment of leaves onto those to give that more realistic look. Right now I'm using squirrel hair brush, which is a very soft brush, but it holds a lot of paint. And depending on how much water you mix into that paint, depends on how long you can dwell using one dip of paint. In this case, I'm going to make it very, very watery paint, but just opaque enough to cover the background. Now over the top of this, I'm going to be putting the darker orange, overlaying that into the trees here and actually attaching those to some of those points of fine lines to make it seem like the leaves are actually coming off of the branches.